Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing today? My name is Talia Joy. Welcome to the show. I don't know why I'm giggling. The second I start recording, I just love what I do. I love recording. I love bringing episodes to you, and it just makes me a little bit giggly. Okay, welcome. Hi, I'm here. I'll be okay. I'm not stoned. I promise. Okay. So today we are diving into a juicy topic about breaking free of the shoulds and starting to live authentically. So I was trying to find a way to kind of describe in a title what we're going to talk about, and there it is. But all of my clients and myself, because I am also one of my clients, but everybody I know has dealt with this in some way or another. The pressures of what we should be doing, what we should do with our lives, who we should be, how to fit in, how to be successful, how to be palatable, what it looks like, and basically everything else that gets put on top of us. And it's about breaking free of the shoulds and stepping fully into who you are meant to be. And when I say meant to be, I'm talking about it. We're going to get deeper, of course, into it in the episode, but I'm talking about it from a soul perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a self-growth perspective of becoming everything you're meant to be. So that meant to be is not another pressure and it's not another should. It's actually about tuning into who you truly are underneath the shoulds. So for some of you, this is new and you're going, I don't even know like the difference. Like, I don't even know who I truly am. That's totally normal. Some of you have been aware of this and realize that you're often doing things that you feel you should do because it's hard to say no. Maybe there's people pleasing. Maybe it's just been so long that you've been doing something and you've been realizing that like this career or this way of being just doesn't even feel good anymore. But how to break free of that, right, becomes the question. Or what does it mean to actually live, quote unquote, authentically, being your authentic self? So that's everything we're going to dive into in this episode. I know this one well because myself, I am literally the most rare everything. So from left-handed to having curly wild hair when it feels like everybody has straight hair. My blood type is even the most rare. I'm a human design reflector. I'm an empath. I'm an introvert. I could literally go on and on about all the ways that I've always felt different. So in that, I've always felt the pressure that I should be like other people. So whether you feel like the black sheep in your family, or maybe your family is all about, success and being professional and you're like the hippie artist, or maybe you've just gone your whole life feeling like everything's going pretty good, but now you're here going, how do I get actually, or how do I become actually fulfilled in my life? Not just going through the motions, but actually feeling fulfilled, vital, really stepping into experiencing more pleasure and joy and that something more in life. So if you can relate to any of this or anywhere in between, this is definitely the episode for you. And we're going to talk all about how to break free of these shoulds, where they come from, how we can start dismantling them. I'm going to give a lot of the bigger conceptual perspective shifts, but also some tangible tools that you can use to start to be more authentic. Because here's the background, the intel. When we realize who we're truly meant to be, which is who we truly are, we realize that who we truly are is who we've been all along under those layers. So in some ways, as we heal, as we grow, as we navigate, as we awaken, as we go through our dark nights and our goo phases, in some ways, we're coming back to who we've always been. And even if who you were 10 years ago is not something you want to be now, or even if you've been in a place that didn't feel good, even before that, when you were first born, when you were first a child, whenever it was for you in this lifetime that you felt the most free, and for some people, they've never had that, but still the blueprint of who you truly are is in there somewhere. And that is the secret. That is the secret to becoming magnetic to the life that you desire, to living more fulfilled and more excited and in pleasure and in joy in your life. It's not about becoming something different. It's about becoming more of who you truly are. So, how many times have you thought, like, I should have my life figured out by now? I should be more successful. I should be more professional. I should be more this, I should be more housewifey, or I should be, content with my job, or I should be fine to do whatever. I should be fulfilled. If I have children, that should be it, right? I should just be fulfilled. When we say these shoulds, from I should be working out to I should be more successful by now, I should have a nicer vehicle, I should be more calm and collected, whatever it is, this is where we start to pinch off who we truly are and our natural magnetism. Because if you think that you should be someone who wakes it up at 5 and is some yoga goddess who drinks green, smoothies religiously, maybe that is part of your fullest expression. But if that is authentically who you are, getting up early, doing yoga, green juices, then that is your authentic you. And that will come as we peel back the layers. But either way, the shoulds never get us to where we want to go, because built into the word should is also some shame. Right? I should be more successful. That sounds like shame. So we're going to dismantle all this. We're going to work through this. I'm going to share, I'm going to support, I'm going to riff, I'm going to give you some tools, and it's going to be really good. So with that, let's dive into today's episode. Grab your hydrating beverage of choice and let's get into it. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. I am so grateful that you've been led here, and I'm so excited for you that you're answering the call to manifest more magic in your life. My name is Talia Joy, and I am committed to showing you exactly how to manifest more excitement, ease, success, abundance, confidence, love, and anything else you've been craving. So if you're ready to go on a magical journey of spiritual and self-growth to manifest the life you're meant for, we are now besties. Let's dive in. Okay. So we're going to start with the roots. So when I talk about the roots, I'm not talking about the band. I'm talking about the roots of the shoulds. And when we go through our life, as I said in the intro, there are a lot of things that come in that tell us what we should be. And just to go back a little bit, way back, when you were a squishy baby, you were very much a blank slate. And as you started growing up, when you first started learning things, like your parents or your caregivers are like, this is the color red, or your name is this, and I'm mom, or I'm dad, or whatever, we start learning, like, we are such a blank slate. It's the way it's meant to be. Our caregivers and the world start teaching us, what it means to be human and how this whole experience works. So when you're a toddler or whatever age, your mom or someone's saying, like, don't touch this pan, it's hot, or don't, grab up on the counter by the knives, or don't pull the dog's tail. Like, we're always learning things about, like, oh, okay, this is what I should do and this is what I shouldn't do. And if we go outside in the winter, like, you have to put socks on and you have to bundle up. And we literally know none of that coming into this experience. So much of the shoulds, it's innocent. It's innocent intention. Our society, our parents, our family is just teaching us literally the things that they know and believe. And this gets into why when we go through healing, we're actually doing like ancestral healing, because so much of what is taught to us is the perception of our parents, which was taught to them from their parents, and it goes on and on, right? So just starting with, you're a squishy baby, you're learning colors, you're learning shapes, you're learning animals, you're learning what you should and shouldn't do, you're learning not to walk out into traffic, or that a knife is sharp and you're not allowed to hold that, or whatever it is. So these things start, as I say, very early. And in society, or from our parents, we are taught who we should be. And this is direct and indirect. You may have heard from your parents, oh, a good girl, you should be a good girl, or you should have manners, or a woman does this, a man does this, or, this is what it takes to be doing well. So maybe you got a good mark on a test and your parents go like, oh my goodness, we're so proud of you. And then you get a bad mark on another test and it's like, oh, sweetie, I'm disappointed, or you should have worked harder. And so whether it's direct or indirect, things happen that teach us who we should be. So maybe it's a test that you get accolades for your 99% or whatever, and then you kind of get this like look down or this, oh, that's not good enough when you get a 50% or whatever it is. That, whether your parents said anything or not, when you sense disappointment, when you see them look down, when you hear their tone, you also are learning what you should and shouldn't be to get love, to receive love. So it starts, as I say, innocent because it's really about survival. If I do what my parents say I should do, I'm going to stay in the tribe. I'm going to stay safe. And, if you're new to this work, when I say safe, some people definitely, of course, dealt with physical lack of safety, but I don't mean just that. I mean in the nervous system and in the tribe. So we want to fit in with our tribe as humans. We don't want to be outcast from the tribe. So to survive, we need to fit in. So when we're young, we're taught what we should and shouldn't be, what we should value, and even what our lives should look like. And then if we ourselves have a different opinion, from the time we're young, we're taught to override that opinion to fit in with the rest of the world. So for example, if you are a girl, you were raised, that way, and your mom or someone in your life told you a good woman is a good housewife and you should know how to clean and cook and stay home and look after kids. And maybe even you're young or you're 10 going like, I don't really want to cook. Like I want to go out and fight fires, or, you have way more interest in being outside than you do in like quote unquote homemaking or whatever. You will most likely override that because it's what your parents say you should do. And so then even if you go, no, I don't want to bake, and your mom kind of has this look going like, in order to be a good woman, you need to do this. You can't be outside in the trees all day. You can't be out getting dirty in nature. A good woman cooks and cleans and has the house ready or whatever, right? I know that's like an outdated thing, but these are the things we grow up with. And even if we fight back, then we sense and receive disapproval or non-approval. Is it disapproval? I don't know. We don't get approval from our parents, from our caregivers, for sort of like being rogue, being individual, being unique. So then we just learn at an early age to fit in. So the roots of what you should and shouldn't be, whatever it is that you say to yourself now as an adult, it comes from way, way back. And then it's reinforced by society, by your parents, by, expectations that the world has for you. So society is a huge root of the shoulds. Again, what you should be, what you should value, what a good woman does, what success is, all these different things, all the shoulds. Like by 40, you should own a home, or at any age, you should own a home. That would be that's what you should do, or you should go to university, or you should get a trade, or you whatever, right? Society puts these things in us. What a man is, what a woman is, what a normal functioning human should be, should look like. You should be good, at hosting dinner parties and social talk, or you should be, good at school because that's the only thing that's going to get you far or whatever, right? So society is a huge root of this. There's also, as I mentioned, the family expectations. So this is usually the earliest source of a should, is our family's values, our family's beliefs, our family's ambitions, their career choices, and what they literally told us. They told us things. So I want you, as I'm speaking in this episode, to be reflecting on your childhood. And what were those things, whether you label them now good or bad or healthy or not, it's not really about that. It's more about what were those strong influences from your family? What were their, or your caregivers? What were their beliefs, their values? What did they say to you? Like as a young girl or boy, what were they saying to you? You should this, you should that, right? And then we also have internal pressures that these shoulds come from. So this is where it comes from the inside, where we have a fear of failure. We have a fear of disappointing others. We have a fear of stepping out of our comfort zone. We have a fear of being different, again, because we want to fit into the society, we want to fit into the tribe. So for me, I have always been an empath. I didn't have language for that until about 10 years ago, but I've always been highly sensitive. So I was told 1.3 bajillion times, Jesus, Talia, you're too sensitive. Like whether it was from my mom over and over, and then society, previous partners, even friends, off the cuff remarks, like you're so sensitive. So I created a I shouldn't be so sensitive narrative. I should just be able to socialize. I should just be able to not feel everything. Come on, Talia, just don't feel so much, okay? But that isn't who I truly am. That's not who I am. But the internal pressure of like, oh, I shouldn't be different, right? So maybe the way you dress has been altered by your family because you should dress this way. Or as I said, like stepping out of your comfort zone, disappointing others. And we're going to get to just after this, the people pleasing, the good girl or good boy mentality. This is so prevalent and so common. So again, the roots of the shoulds are from society, family, and internal, first and foremost. There's probably other places. If you think of something else, then, add that to the pile. But that's kind of what I've seen is what has society told you that you should be doing is either from a kid, reflect on that, but then also now. I should be farther along by now. By this age, I should own a home. I should be married. I don't want kids, but I should have kids. There's endless pressures, right? You should have a job that's like easier to understand or better paid, or you should blah, blah, blah. You get it. So society, family, and internal. So I want to talk about how this then leads to the people pleasing, the perfectionism. And a good way the way that I like to describe this is literally just when we are overriding our own authenticity to keep other people comfortable. People pleasing isn't walking around always just being like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, oh, totally, like being a doormat. Of course, that is a form of people pleasing, but it's also about overriding your own truth to keep somebody else comfortable. Or something I do is freak out inside going, oh my God, who do I need to be for them to think I'm like normal? So whether it's other moms or I've shared maybe 2 years ago now on the podcast, I had that episode called Holiday Breakdowns. And there was a social gathering where it was all like my husband's parents' friends. So an older generation, and they're all like, like well off, and it's a big fancy home and everybody's chit-chatting with their fancy wine. And I would like start to have a panic attack. And I was working with a coach at the time. I had no idea why this was coming up. But the words coming out of my mouth is like, oh my God, there's so many people. I'm overstimulated. Please don't ask me what I do for work. I can't even describe it. Like, just let me melt away or stay in the corner, or I have to leave 72 times to like gather myself. Like, it would make me panic. And it's not that I have social anxiety. It's actually, the coach helped me to identify that the narrative going on in my head is, who do I need to be for you to think I'm okay, or for you to think I'm enough? Who do I need to be palatable to you? And that, my friend, is so deep in so many of us. So your details might be different, but I want you to really like invite yourself. Do you do that? Who do I need to be for everyone else to like think I'm doing okay? Or for my family to get off my back about something, or for them to not worry about me, or for them to be proud of me? Who do I need to be to keep you comfortable, to keep somebody else comfortable? So this is to avoid disappointing others, to avoid being, again, outside of the community. Like this was a couple years ago now, so I've healed through this, but if one of my, parents-in-law's friends were like, what do you do for work? And then I went, oh, I'm a spiritual guide and I am psychic and I'm this and that. And they start looking at me like, nah, that would have crumbled me inside. And that was like a fear I had, like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm such a weirdo. So I would just panic and basically just yell life coach and like walk away, because who I truly am, I'm so scared that that is going to be weird to somebody, disappointing. They're not going to know how to process it. They're going to think I'm a witch or I'm a weirdo, which to me, that's now a compliment. But that internal pressure of like trying to people please. So people pleasing perfectionism is staying small or overriding your needs in order to meet other people's expectations. And this limits our authentic self. So now at a Christmas party of the exact same party, exact same thing, if somebody asks me what I do, I'm so much more centered in what I do that, first of all, I'm not going to lead with like, I talk to spirit guides, but I will say, I help people with personal and spiritual growth and transformation. And that to me, I can say that proudly. Even if someone side eyes me, I go like, that's fine. Like if it's not their thing, it's not their thing, but that is what I do. And now I'm not afraid. If somebody looks down or I sense their awkward language, it's totally fine. And I can go, what do you do? Or tell me about your life. Do you have any kids? And I can easily kind of turn, I'm not gonna say easily because I'm still a little bit awkward, but it's a work in progress. But I can way more easily handle it, not lose myself, and also not lose my authenticity, and be okay with whatever their reaction is and kind of move on because it doesn't mean anything about me. If they don't get what I'm doing, and for some of you, I just want you to really hear this. If they don't get you, that doesn't mean anything about you. Even if what you do is so out there that most people don't understand it, it doesn't actually mean that what you do is weird or who you are is weird. You might be different like me, right? Like the left-handed empath, rare blood type, reflector in the corner. I'm never going to fit the mold. I'm never going to be what everybody wants me to be. My journey is to become the most me. And that's what we're talking about today. And that's what your journey is as well. So people pleasing, good girl mentality, good boy mentality, whatever it is really about avoiding conflict. Maybe you're someone that overly apologizes or prioritizes other people's comfort at your own expense. So this is when boundaries can come in. This is when we can just do something for someone else because we don't want them to feel disappointed, or we'll kind of shift the truth or only give a version of what we think they will get because someone else's confusion or lack of approval starts to crush us, right? So I'm just giving some context to what's actually going on underneath. And I also want to say that there's nothing wrong with you. This is part of the human entanglement. These are the things that we all move through in awakening, in self-growth, in becoming all we're meant to be, and moving out of, yeah, you know what? I do that. I am afraid of what people think of me, so I tone myself down. I won't wear the clothes I really want to wear because people might think it's weird. Or I will, tone down my the way I talk or, whatever it is, because other people get uncomfortable. And we have to stop or at least become aware of that. It is not worth it to please somebody else at your own expense. Consciously and subconsciously, that does so much damage to ourselves because it shows ourselves that it's not safe to be who we are, and we already feel that. So we, as our own cheerleader, as our own self-healer, needs to come in and go, you know what? You are enough exactly as you are. And if somebody else doesn't get it, it literally means nothing about you. Someone like Elon Musk could go off and describe some new innovation to me, and I don't get it at all. And even if it's some gadget or something that I'm like, is that even good? Like, why are you doing that? It means nothing about him and his journey and his purpose and his passion. Because I just might not get it. Or from my personal opinion, I might not think this and that, but it's actually nothing to do with him or from his perspective, what I think shouldn't influence what he's doing, what he feels passionate about. That's a very, random example. But we need to become who we are even when it ruffles feathers. You don't need to apologize for who you are. You don't need to sacrifice who you are just to avoid conflict, just to avoid other people being uncomfortable. And I'm not talking like morally. I'm not talking ever about being offensive or hurting people. We're talking about the everyday stuff, how we shove down who we are so that other people feel that we're palatable. And this happens a lot too with family. Family, especially, I've had quite a few clients that their parents or themselves were either immigrants or they came from a different country where there's a very strong sense of like, you do what the family what the family does, right? Or if your dad was whatever profession, you become that. You carry on the legacy. Maybe everybody lives together, or there's this very close knit mentality, which is great, being really close to family. But sometimes as we grow and evolve, we realize like, I don't want to have the same lifestyle as my mom or my brother or my sister or my dad or whatever. I need to go my path. And that's the thing is you were made a unique soul, a unique human on purpose. And even when it's your family, you may not be meant to walk the same steps as them. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is, I touched on this in the intro, but is the dark night of the soul and going through an awakening. And what I really want to say in regards to this topic is that this is what is going on. The dark night of the soul is the breaking point where the weight of all of these shoulds can no longer be tolerated. It becomes too heavy. Our soul calls for something more. Our higher self, our dreams, our desires want something more. But all of the shoulds and all of the ways that we've been told to be in a box and don't be who you truly are, it becomes too strong. That weight becomes too much. So the dark night of the soul is the beginning of peeling back these layers, becoming who you truly are. So if you feel in your life lost or disconnected, questioning everything, life doesn't feel like it has the same meaning that it used to, or the things that used to bring you joy don't, or you thought if you had a successful career, you'd be happy and you get there and realize you're not happy. These are exactly the things that happen as we are called to step into our authentic self, to step into who we truly are, because we have been almost living in these masks, right? We're trying to be a good daughter, be a good son, be a good mother, be a good human, be as successful as we can, go for all of these external things that we think we should go for, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just that deep fulfillment, that place where we feel really good in our life, comes through awakening the authentic self, awakening who we truly are. And when I say authentic, that's the only human word that matches the energy as best as I can. But it's the true you. It's the real you. It's the honest you. It's the actual you underneath all that stuff that you should be. Because even in my journey with sensitivity, I always thought I was too sensitive and there was something wrong with me. So then I'd try to be less sensitive. That didn't work out. But as I embraced my sensitivity, it also opened me up to tools on how to navigate my sensitivity, being an empath, being an HSP, all that. And as I gave myself permission to be like, you know what, I am an empath, I started to recognize that is one of my biggest gifts in my work with clients on this podcast. My channel, my intuitive channel, is because I am so sensitive that I can pick up on that information, that I can hear spirit because of my dialed in sensitivity. So it was only through allowing myself to be that, and knowing that within that, there is navigation. Like sometimes at a social party, at a whatever, I need to use my tools. When I feel the pressure to be something else, when I look on Instagram and I'm like, I'm not like any of these other entrepreneurs, these other people. Maybe I should be more like them. And I stop and I'm like, no. You are here to be you. So through getting over the I'm too sensitive, I actually realized physically I'm an empath, which then breaks open tools to learn how to navigate it. I took it further to realize it's one of my biggest gifts. I channeled my book through my sensitivity, the book that I'm writing, that I'm almost done. My work with my clients, all of that is through that gift. So now I don't think I'm too sensitive. I manage my sensitivity and I lean into it as a gift. So let's talk about now the authentic self, right? Because I'm talking about, being the authentic self, and in the dark night of the soul, in an awakening, it is about dismantling It is about dismantling what doesn't resonate, what doesn't serve us, and what we are truly not, so that we can connect to what does. So we can connect to what resonates. We can connect to what feels true. Because you may have in your heart and your soul a desire to travel, to be a bit of a nomad, maybe for your whole life or for a year, whatever. And then you bring it up and your parents go, that's not very practical. Well, what would you do for a job? Or you go to your job and they're like, well, you can't actually take a year off. You won't have a job when you get back. Like, it's not very smart. You've worked hard in your career. It feels tough sometimes because people come in and you go, crap. Like, that is true. Like, should I really do this? But it's time to dig deeper, to go, what do I really want though? Because what you truly want, those are like the things you want, those are breadcrumbs leading you to your fullest life. So if you have in you a mad, like, passion to travel, but everyone is telling you it's not very practical, I would be the one telling you, let's find the way that it is. Like, let's find the way that it works. There is a way that it will work. We could find a job that is remote for you. You could save up before you go. We could, whatever it is. There is a way because you desire it so deeply. And everyone else on the outside is just looking at it from the outside, going, well, I'm not comfortable if you quit your job. And sometimes, too, it's people that secretly want to do that themselves, but don't have the bravery, and they'll chime in. Well, what about your RSPs or your retirement or your pension? Like, you can't stop paying into that for a year. Like, you'll lose benefits. And yes, it sounds very tempting, but we have to go with what calls us. And I don't say to be irresponsible. If I have a client that's going through exactly this, I wouldn't say, just quit your job and figure it out later. It's not irresponsible. It's listening to the heart and going, there must be a way. Because that is your authentic self calling you. So diving deeper into what the authentic self is, and then I'm going to offer a few tools, and then we're going to wrap up. So your authentic self, as I said, that's the best word, but it's honest, it's true, it's real. The real you is the you at your core, the youest you that there is. Beyond the roles, beyond the expectations, beyond the labels. It's the real, raw, unfiltered version of you who is already whole and complete exactly as you are. Whether you have a neurodivergence or you're sensitive or you're passionate or you have a loud laugh or you're really shy, like, how you are is perfect and whole and complete as you are right now. That is your authentic self. Under the roles, under the shoulds, under the expectations, the whole you that is real and raw and unfiltered. So one great tool, we're not yet into the tools, but one great one that I like to think of is the identities. And I've taught this on the Path. There's a training on identities. I've taught this in Activated and a few other signature programs in the past. But identities, that's everything. Like, we are walking around as a walking identity, which is not who we truly are. So whether you are the hard worker, the good daughter, the successful businesswoman or man, the father, the this, the that, or you're the black sheep of the family, you're not good at math, you're too sensitive. These are all just identities that other people have slapped on us. Then we believed it because it was reinforced by the world, and we can't let go of them. So I know people that are so committed to being a hard worker that they work themselves into the ground. And it's almost like a badge of honor of like, oh, you're such a hard worker, when really their nervous system is wrecked. They're having anxiety. They're not properly feeding their body because they're working so hard. Their back hurts from being at a computer all the time, or, whatever it is. There's so much that goes along with it, but we just want to thrive in like, but I'm a hard worker, but I'm the good daughter because my sister or my brother or whatever is the crazy one. I'm the good daughter. So I have to be really good so that I don't ruffle feathers with my parents. These are all just identities. And it's not about flipping it and now being the bad daughter. It's actually just about releasing the identities and going, but who am I? Because me personally, I'm a really hard worker. I'm really creative. I've been over 9 years in my business. I've done so much. I've created 400 and whatever episodes, all these courses, all these clients, all this stuff, hard worker. But I used to deplete myself working. And now, yes, I'm a hard worker, but I'm also a freedom seeker. I'm also someone that is learning to slow down, to take care of myself. Because being too hard of a worker and just being like, but I'm here for big things. I'm here for big things. That is true. That is part of my identity, but not so much that it sacrifices me. So now I've adapted or expanded, I should say, my identity into when I'm lit up, I can just like work on something. I can get so much done, but I also know how to look after myself. I know how to slow down. I know how to love myself, to nurture my body. These things are all important. Instead of just being the hard worker and everything else goes out the window, it's not just about these one identities, these labels that we have for ourselves. It's about being who you truly are. And who you truly are is a bit of everything. You're light, you're dark, you're together, you're a mess, you're far ahead, you're far not behind, but you feel like a beginner in some areas of your life, whereas you're advanced in others. You're really sensitive in a beautiful way here, and you're emotional there, and you're hilarious here, and you're really strong-willed, and you're also stubborn, and you're also committed, and like we are everything. So I remember when I was growing up, I was told a lot that I was so stubborn, that I was knot-headed, whatever that really means. But now I realize that that stubbornness is, well, it's the Scorpio in me, but it's also my resilience. It's my knowing of what's right and what's wrong and what I want and what I don't want. So as a kid, maybe it manifested as stubborn, but instead of me carrying that like, oh, I'm stubborn, I now realize I'm passionate. I am hardworking. I am resilient, right? So we want to break free of these identities. A morning person, a not morning person. You're good with money. You're not good with money. You're, whatever it is, everything. We need to let go of everything. Like imagine just letting go of all of the things, all of the pressures, all of the labels, all of the shoulds, and emerging as who you truly are, which is going to be a beautiful mix of all of it, of absolutely all of it. And that's what our whole self actually is. Our whole self is light and dark. Our whole self isn't just sitting around with Buddha bowls doing yoga all the time. Your whole self is a bit of everything because you're human. That's who you are. So the authentic self, the whole self, is the real you beyond the roles, beyond the expectations, beyond the labels. When we start to ask ourselves, what type of life is my actual dream life? Is the life I want to live? Who am I really? When you're alone in the house, if you're alone in the house for a week, who are you really? And without the shoulds, without the pressures. Because even shoulds, I just feel compelled to share, even the shoulds we think we need to be, they don't lead us where we think we're going. So, for example, I used to have an eating disorder, so I was heavily intertwined with diets and diet rules and all this stuff. I thought to be healthy or to lose weight or to have a body that was desirable of love, I should eat, and then I had all of it. I should eat low calorie, I should eat low carb, I should eat high protein, but I shouldn't eat animals, but I shouldn't eat sugar, and I should eat freaking broccoli all day, and I shouldn't drink any, you don't want to drink your calories. And like I was riddled with so many shoulds that it turned into an eating disorder. We have so many shoulds that we become disordered, eating or otherwise. Why are we depressed and anxious and feeling just not right in our skin, not right in our life? We feel like our life doesn't light us up, but it should light us up, right? We need to break free of all this. Because as soon as we have so many shoulds, by now you should be farther along, and you also should, lose weight, and you also should be better at this, and you also should get out more, and you should take your vitamins, and we just get like totally buried in all of this stuff. Whereas if we get the opportunity to clear the space energetically or physically, if you had a week on your own or whatever, longer, whatever it is, and you strip away all that stuff, you'll find that who you truly are is actually a beautiful balance in the middle. Because without all those diet rules, surprisingly, I didn't just balloon up to 500 pounds and eat all this crap as soon as I let go of the rules. I realized that my authentic self actually really liked earth foods, but also liked chocolate, or really liked to have, roasted veggies and this, but then also some fresh bread. And that balance in the middle has led me to now be in the healthiest body I've had, including weight, including my gut, including my energy, healthiest body with zero rules. And so this isn't just about food. It's a metaphor for every area of your life. When we let go of the expectations of what we should be to keep other people comfortable so that our parents get us, so that we don't let people down, when we let go of all that stuff, what emerges is actually a really awesome, badass individual. You just might have more boundaries. You might say no more often to stuff that doesn't feel good. If somebody's always needing like way too much of your time to the point where you feel depleted and they always need from you, you may, talk to them for 10, 15 minutes and then on the phone saying like, okay, I gotta go. I'll talk to you in a couple days. Like, it's not like you turn into a completely different person. You just don't sacrifice yourself anymore to keep other people happy. So here are some practices before we wrap up. If you are somebody that likes to journal, I'll give a couple of those. I'll give you a couple of other practices as well. So journaling prompts, asking yourself questions like, what do I really want in my life? Where do I feel like I'm faking it, or like what I'm doing and what I'm playing out is not really me? That's going to take a little bit of time to really think about that. Spend some time with that. Where do I feel like I'm going through the motions, but it's not really who I am? And who am I trying to impress or please? And it might be like, oh crap, it's my mom. Or it might be like the world. It might be my boss and my partner and like any answer. One person, all the people. Who are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to please? Because I guarantee you, as you continue on this self-growth path, you learn the tools and you're already gathering the tools to be resilient. Because if you're trying to impress someone or please someone, there's a risk of not pleasing them anymore. And you just become resilient to like, you know what? I don't need to impress you. And I want you to think of like a bully on the schoolyard. Not that our family members, I mean, some of them are bullies, but it's not the same exactly. But a bully on the schoolyard, if they're like, that shirt's stupid, that's a stupid shirt. Or imagine like some grown ass man or woman when you're at the gym being like, that is the stupidest shirt I've ever seen. Like, would you run off and go change your shirt? And maybe you would, but chances are you'd kind of go like, what the heck? Like, whatever. Like, I love this shirt. It's my gym shirt. Like, who cares, right? Who fucking cares? Especially at the expense of you. So the questions are, what do I really want? Where do I feel like I'm faking it or I'm not being totally authentic? What doesn't fit anymore? And who am I trying to impress or please? And then another tool that you can do is to take small steps toward being more authentic. So inside asking yourself, with the choices that you make, do these choices feel true to who I am? Do they feel, right? Do they feel in line? Do they feel authentic? Or am I making a decision to keep somebody else comfortable? To keep somebody else, pleased? And sometimes I'm working really through right now, like asking for help, even with my husband, like something simple as like, if I'm in pain or I'm, laying down and I say like, sweetie, when you come over here, could you bring a blanket? Like simple things like that. I would always default into, I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to make him blah, blah, blah. I don't want him to think that I'm going, get me a blanket. Like it was any reason to just go, no, you don't have to ask for that. Or you get up yourself and do it. But I'm learning to be like, hey, babe, could you please fill up my water for me when you get up? Or can you grab me this thing? Or, family friends, like, hey, could somebody pick up my kids this day because we've got a ton of things going on. It would be a huge help. Like I'm learning to ask for help at the risk of putting somebody off or out or whatever. But what I find is people just go like, sure, happy to help. Or like, no, sorry, I can't that day. And it's like, oh, that actually wasn't so bad. Or with my husband, he's like, of course I'll bring you a blanket. Like, of course I'll bring you your water. Here you go, babe. And he feels all happy helping me. And I'm like, thank you. Like these small things, being authentic, even if the narrative inside is that you're putting something on someone or you're making someone else uncomfortable or you're blah, blah, blah. We need to honor who we are. It's not better to sacrifice yourself just to keep that person comfortable. And the last tool that I'm just going to mention here is about boundaries. And boundaries are huge. And this is where we connect back into setting boundaries, having the ability to say no, having the ability when somebody's on the phone being like, hey, do you want to come to this thing? And you don't quite know, just give yourself a second. Say, you know what? I'm just about to run some errands. Let me think about that and I'll get right back to you. Or taking a second to actually stop, pause, and inquire within. Do I really want to do that or not? Right? And all of this is not about being selfish or self-centered or just being righteous and being like, I'm going to do whatever the F I want and I don't care who. Like, that's not who you are. That is never who you are. It's never who you will be. So release that fear of becoming that person. And know that on the other end of the pendulum is someone who never wants to be a bother and never wants to put anyone else out. So they will squash away all of their needs just to not ruffle feathers. And we can meet in the middle. It doesn't mean we turn into a demanding bee, but we meet in the middle. We ask for help, or we ask for something, or we are just standing in our truth. So boundaries are important, and boundaries are about protecting what is important to you. So if your mental health, if your physical health is becoming more and more important, and there's friends that always go out, but what they do, maybe they're drinking or they're doing something, it doesn't make you feel good anymore, you can say no. Instead of like, oh, what are they going to think? What are they going to, and this is something I'm practicing all the time. Boundaries in the area of where am I sacrificing myself just to please somebody else? So I hope that this has resonated with you today. I'm going to encourage you as we wrap up this episode to just drop your shoulders and take a deep breath and know that you are enough exactly as you are. Even if you feel like a weirdo in the corner, even if you feel like you should have it together by now, just instead of all the shoulds, ask yourself, what do I really want for my life? Where do I feel like I'm not being fully authentic? I'm not being fully me. And who am I trying to impress? And for me, I would much rather do the work to become resilient, to handle other people's judgment or not being impressed, to be able to handle that instead of spending my entire life squashing down who I am to please others. So this is the point where you get to choose to be in alignment with your authenticity, with who you truly are, with your soul, and building a life where you're fully and unapologetically yourself. I'm so proud of you. You are on the right path. I hope this has resonated, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Awakening Her podcast, your go-to for real life manifestation. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from. Reviews really help the show. You can also find me after the show on Instagram at Talia Joy Manifestation. And listen, love, I know that you are ready to stop spinning your wheels and hustling and doing a bunch of stuff, and you're ready to make the money you want to make, to feel the way you want to feel. And if this is the case for you, then you are absolutely in the right place. I'm so excited. And if you're ready to jump into the implementation, you can check out On the Path. The link is below. Remember, all manifestation starts on the inside. I'll see you in the next episode.